Does Hamas have the remaining Israeli hostages? As Israel and Hamas try to hammer out a mediated ceasefire deal, Israeli officials are seeking the release of the remaining hostages held in Gaza. But the kicker is this: they don't actually know how many of them are alive. Hamas, it seems, does not have 40 hostages needed for the first round of a potential ceasefire deal. Hamas has indicated that it is currently unable to identify and track them down. And this, you see, has raised fears that more hostages may be dead than what is publicly known. And this, by the way, comes as talks between Hamas and Israel have stalled amid disagreements over the permanency of a ceasefire, the return of displaced Palestinians to northern Gaza, and other issues. Senior Israeli officials said Israel had been relayed Hamas's claim. Hamas says they have informed the mediators about this. The team of international mediators, which includes Qatar and Egypt, had laid out a framework, basically, that would pause fighting in Gaza for 6 weeks. The condition would be the release of 40 remaining hostages by Hamas. And in exchange, Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. But with Hamas's latest claim, that ceasefire proposal seems at risk of getting stalled further. Israeli officials believe there are about 130 hostages remaining in Gaza. Israeli intelligence officers have concluded that at least 30 of those have died in captivity. According to reports, in fact, Hamas's inability to tell Israel which hostages would be released alive is a major obstacle in the talks. But the development came days after Israeli military said it had recovered the body of an Israeli hostage who, like around 240 others, was abducted during the Hamas-led October 7 attack. Now, Israel is reportedly pushing for Hamas to fill out the initial release with younger male hostages, including soldiers taken during the October 7 attack by Hamas on Israel. Throughout the months of negotiations, Israel has repeatedly asked for a list of the hostages. Israel has inquired about their conditions. But Hamas has argued that it needs a break in the fighting to be able to track and gather down the hostages. The majority of the almost 100 hostages who remain alive are believed to be male IDF soldiers or men of military reserve age. Experts believe that Hamas will try to use them in later phases to try to negotiate more significant concessions, including more high-level prisoners and a permanent end to the war. Reports say that more than 250 hostages who were captured have been spread out among different factions of Hamas, as well as other militant groups and gangs. Hamas claims that Israeli bombing has killed a number of the hostages and that its continuing campaign is threatening those still alive. But Israel maintains that they do not strike in places where they know there may be hostages. Israel has accused Hamas of carrying out psychological torment on the hostage families. In the 6 months of war, the hostage families have become a political force in Israel, staging mass protests to demand more to be done to free their loved ones. Netanyahu is under intense pressure from the families, to say the least, to bring them home. But for the Hamas, the hostages are the primary bargaining chip. In talks that have dragged on for weeks, if Hamas cannot locate them, the temporary truce talks will likely remain at a deadlock. And if they are dead, it could give Netanyahu the incentive to take an even more brutal approach as far as the war is concerned. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.